give a kind of perspective.
I was going to comment on that. I think the evolution of how the African American is wonderful.
We have similar issues as the African American programs. We have different issues as the African American programs. We have about 5 minutes left, maybe for a few more questions. Yes, sir. Gentleman's asking, what were some of the issues during the American Revolution for Indian people? And I think you guys can both answer some of those, so please.
Well, I think the largest issue was that of relocation, that of encroachment upon the lands. This all used to be native country here, you know, before these houses were here, before all this was here, this was all Indian land. And so when, you know, over time, when the boats started coming in and people started coming and just taking the land, you know, there's all sorts of issues that go along with that. You know, do we fight? Do we fight for our land? Do we want to coexist? Do we want to learn their language? Do we want to trade with them? Do we want to? I mean, that's a very, very long answer to that question, I guess.
Michael, are there still issues about land?
There's still issues to this day about land. We are still fighting back home as a Lakota for the freeing of the Black Hills, which was the Lakota's sacred land, you know, and
it was part of the 1868 Treaty of Fort Laramie, yes?
Mm-hmm, which was immediately broken. And
what was the big thing happening in the Black Hills?
Gold rush.
Gold rush. Gold in the Black Hills. So then
just finally got the largest gold mine in the Western Hemisphere taken out, which is the Home State Gold Mine in the Black Hills, and now it is being used as a site for a lab for the U.S. government. And they're doing their best to put it back the way that they found, but they'll never be able to do that. And there's still a lot of politics involved. A lot of people that are still feeling very hurt, very taken advantage of, you know, by the government, being pushed off into the Badlands. You know, the Oglala people there's a band of Lakota that is the closest to the Black Hills, and they were pushed off onto the desert part of it, which is the Badlands. They call Makashija, which nothing grows there, and it's all dirt. And I'm sure you guys have heard some of the stories. There was actually a story on ABC. Diane Sawyer did a story on the Oglala people, what's happening in the Pine Ridge. It's still an issue that we battle with, and you know, not only the Lakotas, but a lot of native peoples. You know, some have flourished and some have dwindled. Nothing.
Yes, sir. He wants to know where is the culture going to be in the next 50 years? Where is it going today? Don, can you weigh in on the many different cultures?
You know, all I can say is as an individual, the next 50 years I'll probably be dead. But as an individual, I think that well, it comes down to individualism, you know, being responsible for yourself. I hope that I think there's been positive steps going forth in the last 100 years. I think it's getting a lot better. There was some atrocities, that were the treaties. Those are flat out, lies, and the government did make huge mistakes with the Native people. I think it's getting better, but it all comes down to the individual. I can't. The sweeping generality of the whole culture is it's difficult to say. If that helps at all.
In Lakota prophecies, in our culture, they say that we're part of the sacred seventh generation, which is the generation that I'm a part of, which is going to be responsible for the mending of the sacred roof and for the sacred tree of life to grow again. Both Zahn and I are active in our culture and still participate in our oldest ceremonies. And I believe in 50 years that we are going to still be here and be strong in who we are and still have our ceremonies, because it's up to us as individuals to carry that on. And I speak Lakota and I sing and I dance and I pass that on to my children. And it's really hard to say, I can't tell the future, but it's going strong. We have a lot of new programs implemented in curriculum throughout South Dakota, North Dakota, where the Lakota people are right now. The language is back in the schools. There's powwows. There's people who are willing to teach, people who are willing to stand up and say, "Hey, I'm Lakota," and this, and this is the beauty of our culture. Because 50 years ago, you couldn't have your, it was illegal to have a ceremony, and they washed your mouth out with soap in the boarding schools if you spoke your own language. So they tried to stamp us out, but no, we're still here, and I think in 50 years we're going to be even stronger.
All right. Folks, we're all out of time for right now. I invite you to come back later today for Revolutionary City and to see So Far From Scioto as part of that production.
Thank you.
Thanks so much for coming. Thanks, Chris.